and gentlemen, I have no idea what this is going to be about, but it involves bubblegum. Yeah, this could be interesting. All right, Doku, all yours, mate.
Oh, okay. So, Jensen, what would you say if I told you that your government said, "Hey, you have $600 in your bank account. Well, 600 to $601,
Mm-hmm.
and you went to the gas station, a convenience store, and you bought a soda and some bubble gum, and that needs to be reported to the IRS."
Wow.
I'm not joking. I wish I
Oh
was. No, I'm
God.
not. That's what's being proposed. A lot of people seem to have this misconstrued.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people think that this new proposal is only when you spend $600, which even if that was the case, the IRS doesn't need to know if I want to remodel my kitchen or buy a new washer and dryer. It's none of their damn business. But that's actually, if you read through it, if you read
Yeah.
through the proposal, this is not actually not the case. If you have a checking account with a bank,
Yeah.
it you can go and buy a stick of bubble gum, and as long as your checking account has $600 or more, oh, guess what? That's now Big Brother's business. I don't know why Big Brother needs to know why I'm buying a Kit Kat bar, but
Yeah.
apparently
I'd
this
like a
is
tiny bit of
important.
clarification, if I may. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think I need to know. Which country is doing this?
Yeah.
Oh, no, 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 no. Okay, yeah. Hey, I would like to feel sorry for you, but you know what? 1776, you fucked up. You should have stayed. Just
I
saying.
I don't understand how people can look at this and go, "Oh, yeah, sure, that's fine." Like, are you serious? Like, why why does the government uh, just to correct me if I'm wrong, $600, it's not like we're really looking for people who are money laundering $1 million, $10 million, $1 billion. And what do you think this is really going to do? The people who are, the top, 1% that we're going to go after. Do you think this is really going to change anything? No, it's not going to change anything. They're just going to have offshore bank accounts anyways. Do you think this is really going to affect the even the top 10%?
Yeah,
No.
for clarification, okay, and I'm willing to be wrong, but wasn't $600 pretty much what your government was throwing out like candies?
They said they were giving us $1,400 at least.
In other words, we want to know what you're doing, when you're doing it, how you're doing it, if you're doing it, no matter what it is you're doing. Just tell us everything. Am I
Oh,
wrong?
and that's the thing. This is my private banking institution. I am I am I gonna have to not deposit my check? Like, what am I supposed to do in this type of situation? I, $600 isn't shit. I,
Okay, this is going to sound rather weird, and I'm sorry for interrupting you, but now that you've told me this, and now I'm beginning to explain this shit, wow. Seriously, I'm beginning to understand it bit by bit, and it's disturbing me. That easily is going to become a worldwide thing because once your government starts doing it, a lot of the governments over the West are going to want to do it because it's a control thing. Just look at the EU; they will probably be the next one to do it. Oh God, this is bad. Okay. The
oh,
capacity to spend money is one of the things that humanity should be allowed to do. And as long as they're not getting anything, air quotes, illegal, note the air quotes, they should be allowed to. They shouldn't have to report it. Quite literally, as you have said, it's none of their goddamn business.
and
Which, of
so
course, will get me in trouble. I'm sorry for interrupting. You'll go.
Oh, so I know a lot of people I've seen who've been commenting on this don't seem to realize exactly what this is. They think it's transactions of $600 or more. And even though that's not true, let's
Hmm?
just say it is.
Yeah.
So the IRS needs to know what brand of washer and dryer I'm buying. I,
Yeah.
I,
Sorry, and I really feel bad for interrupting. I really am sorry for this, but I'm going to be asking a lot of questions. Deal with it. You realise that this is basically the precursor to the social credit score, right?
oh no, definitely. I mean, this is. I mean, if this doesn't, I know everybody's freaking out about the forced jab and everything. You know what? Tell your employer to go fuck themselves. Walk out. They'll renege on that real quick. They'll turn around and be like, "Well, crap, we can't conduct business anymore." Yeah,
Yeah.
that's easy to do. This is actually a lot more nefarious, and I'm surprised people aren't talking about it because at least talking about it to the extent that they should be, because this is far more terrifying in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you know what's gonna happen. This is going to be used in a way that, oh well, this is your bank, this is your payment provider, this belongs to this person, this is who you are. Do you kind of see how they're going to be able to use this against you to say, I don't like your political opinions, therefore I'm going to, I don't know, maybe coerce whoever your bank is or whoever your payment provider is to, prevent you from engaging in economic activity, essentially putting you in a gulag of sorts, preventing you from engaging in the economy. In other words, preventing you from buying fucking food. And tell me they wouldn't do this because, oh, by the way, they've already done this. They've already done it before. Eh,
Oh, yeah.
and we don't even need to go back a year. Look at how they were trying to coerce airlines to try to prevent people from being able to fly, not for doing anything wrong, but just for not submitting.
Yeah.
It, you think they're not going to abuse this? I, if you don't think they're not going to abuse this, you're insane. I'm sorry. That
Yeah.
there is no, and this gets back to my point of we're not talking about transactions of $600. We're talking about bank accounts that have $600 or more. And so, to give an example, I have a checking account.
Hmm.
It's $600. Well, I move that money to my brokerage account, my Roth IRA, my crypto trading account, or just a savings account. All of that's going to get reported to the IRS. And they're going to know who I am. They're going to see what I'm spending my money on. I Again, we're not talking about normally normally the flag would be $10,000 and that would only be $10,000 deposited in an account and one go at one time. Yeah, but that's still on the banks. This is compulsory. This is if you have $600, the bank doesn't have a fucking choice. They have to report this. And they have to report not just your account, but all your transactions. So again, if I have a $600 checking account and I decide to go buy a stick of bubblegum, the IRS is going to know about it. Do you think they're not setting this up for the purpose of, oh, this is this person and this is the bank that they're banking with? Let's coerce them a little bit.
Right. Just want to bring a point. It's something I've said to people over here. Now, I don't know how it is in America. More than likely, it is the same way. But a lot of supermarkets and things like that do a air quote loyalty. Excuse me, bit my tongue. Loyalty card. Do you guys do that?
Not. I mean, we have like a discount card, but
Yeah, that's that. We actually term it as a loyalty card. The idea is that every time you buy something, you go in, swipe that, it goes onto a computer and gets recorded all the shit you've got, and then later on you can get some money off of things because of the things you bought. Does that sound right?
Oh, normally it's just kind of like an instant discount, but it doesn't get reported to a
Ah,
government agency.
no, wrong word. Didn't. Change doesn't to didn't. Then we can start to talk. Because now all the information of all the things that you've bought is now on a database somewhere. That database, more than likely, and I'm wording this very carefully, I don't want to say is, even though I believe it truly is, but more than likely will be handed over to those that need to know. Use whichever term you want and put whichever alphabet group in there. I don't care. But they know what you buy, where you buy it, how much you spend, and this is the part that's interesting: what you used to spend it, whether it be cash or card. And you're thinking, well, how will that make a difference? Cash is absolutely almost impossible to trace. I said almost, not completely, but is almost impossible to trace, where card obviously isn't. That means that, how am I going to put this? If you're spending cash, they're not going to be able to track what you're buying, only what you are buying. I.e., you paid in cash, you could go anywhere with cash. This is why cash will be going out of fashion soon. By out of fashion, I mean will be being removed.
That's why I thought this is important to bring up because I would like to ask everybody in a chat. Please let me know. Do do you deposit more than $600 at a time? Do you make more than $600 a week, every 2 weeks, a month? I'm pretty sure the majority of people probably deposit more than $600 at least $600 a month, but $600 a week. I mean, can you live on less than $600 a week? Because here's the thing, even if you're putting it into a checking account, or if you're just going to the bank that can deposit it, well, guess what? They're still monitoring that transaction
Yeah.
because it still has to go through a bank. That means they know who you are, they know your name. So unless you're just spending cash on everything, you're still not free from this because they know what bank you're going to be going to. They'll still be able to track you to some degree, maybe not to the same degree, but to some degree. If you
Yeah.
want a savings account, if you want a Roth IRA, if you want to open a brokerage account, eh, if you want to start, uh, if you want to start saving money, if you want a debit card, it better be less than $600 because otherwise you're you're living in a quite the dystopian future at this point in time. I mean, God forbid that you actually want to invest anything.
Yeah, that's not good. And by the way, you're saying about $600. Okay, I realise there's a difference between my country and your country. I understand. I'm not a fucking idiot, but I get you. I get effectively £100 a week, which is about 130 to $150 a week. So, I'm sure you can cross-reference that over to your stuff fairly easily. Now, yes, things are air quotes cheaper over here than it would be in America, but a lot of that is purely based on the currency itself, not actually that the object itself is necessarily cheaper. But they're going to monitor this, and you're saying 600 now. Watch as that drops soon. Okay, the moment they realize that they're able to get away with this shit, and I'm going to be completely blunt, it will be when they can get away with it. That will drop to probably about 400, 300, 200, 100. We're just monitoring everything you do. Okay,
Well,
that is where that will go, I
well,
reckon.
and Jensen, I would like to point this out to you.
Hmm.
It's not transactions
Hmm.
necessarily. If your bank account, your savings account, your checking account, if it's over $600,
Yeah,
it gets reported immediately. And that is not conjecture, that's not me being conspiracy theory. It's written in the bill that they've proposed. So do, don't tell me how much money you have in in your checking or your savings or any account. Do you have more than $600 in an account?
I can actually say yes, crossing over the difference of English to American money. I do have over $600. Only just, but I do.
Well, and here's the thing. If you try to make a transaction from one account to another, if one of those accounts is over 600, well, it doesn't matter. If one of them is over 600, guess what? It gets reported. It's not just one. It's across everything. So for example, without giving too much detail of my own personal finance information, I have one account that I use to do one investment thing. I have one account that I use to do one investment thing. I have a savings account and I have a checking account.
Mhm.
Even if my checking account is below 600, if I make a transaction from investment account A to investment account B, it doesn't even matter that my checking account is below 600. That still
No,
gets monitored.
well, of course it does. They're going to link the two together, and like it or not, things are basically that's the problem you can have is they can start connecting stuff. The moment they start connecting things, you're thinking, aha, I've got 599, 599, 599. Fuck you, what you can do? No, that actually just means that you add it all together and then all of them combined are more than 600. We got your ass.
Oh, and it's actually written into the bill. Let me just find it real quick, just in case anybody thinks I'm blowing this out of proportion. Because I'm I'm really not.
Hmm.
So, all right, I have that pulled up, and I'll go ahead and do the whole screen share thing for everyone.
I agree, Yiz. I know it's absolutely shocking. We would never believe such a thing comes into existence. There is a banking group. I, you know what? People need to know this. All right, Doke, one sec. There you go, mate.
And so, a lot of people they're ignoring this, but I know everybody's kind of freaking out about the jab and everything. And don't get me wrong, I understand why you would,
Hmm.
but this is this is something people aren't actually talking about, and it really needs to be talked about because this is very concerning.
Dude, it is the precursor to the social credit score. It really freaking is. Okay.
So so here we go. I will read this. I will read this in its entirety for everybody. This proposal would create a comprehensive financial account information reporting regime. Financial institutions would report data on financial accounts in an information return. The annual return will report gross inflows and outflows with a breakdown for physical cash, transactions with a foreign account, and transfers to and from another account with the same owner. That's something you need to pay attention to with the same owner. So
Hmm.
you can't even move stuff to an offshore account.
Hmm.
This requirement would apply to all businesses and personal accounts from financial institutions, including bank, loan, and investment accounts, with the exception of accounts below a de minimis gross flow threshold of $600 or fair market value of $600. Basically means if you have $600 or if it's worth $600, it will be monitored. That's what that means. Even if the market value falls below 600, if you invested 600, it's monitored.
Mitch, you may well be right with Congress will be excluded from this legislation, but do you know what? I actually don't think they will. They may think they are at first, but the information will go on to a data core and be left sitting there waiting. Worst case scenario, those in Congress will eventually not be in Congress, at which point they become one of us peasants, and that's where they've got all the information already pre stored. You might be right. I might just be paranoid. I'm willing to admit I could just be paranoid. But how many people here really think I am, and they actually think that this shit is going to happen?
Oh, here's the one that actually really gets me. And it's the reasons for change, and it's the second paragraph. Requiring comprehensive information reporting on the inflows and outflows of financial accounts will increase the visibility of gross receipts and deductible expenses to the IRS. Increased visibility of business income will enhance the effectiveness of IRS enforcement measures and encourage voluntary compliance. What about this sounds voluntary? It $600? $600 voluntary, that uh, just for the sake of brevity,
Mhm.
do you know anybody who has a $600 account who is running a who is a landlord that has $600, or
No.
who's who is running an investment account with $600, let alone someone who's trying to skirt taxes, trying to do tax evasion with an
Hmm.
account of $600. I mean, the current threshold in the United States, when you even start to get looked at, would be around 10,000.
Is that to respond to Shirati here? I'm not saying that they won't. What I'm saying is that it will actually be erased and the information will be kept anyway, even if they write the rules. Okay, the rules won't apply to them very quickly because, like I said, they might be able to cover themselves at first, but the information will most likely be stored anyway for later use. As I've said, once they leave, shit, brain. Basically, once they leave Congress and things like that, they are no longer congressmen. And the problem is if they actually write this in, too many people will be able to get an immunity to it. So one of two things will happen: they will get rid of said immunity, or once you leave Congress, you lose said immunity. Either way, they're going to have to do something because too many people are going to be able to be protected from this. And you're thinking, well, yes, that's the plan. No, the plan is to get the information. The immunity is, and of itself, I actually think, secondary to the point of tertiary at best.
Well, and so there are a few things that we have to touch on here. So on point number one, which is right here, estimates is 166 billion a year. So this is point number one. Computed from individual income tax, business income, small corporations, and self-employment tax components. So essentially what this means, if you're a small business and they estimate that you have $166 billion of income per year, and yeah, you can play silly buggers. Why do you think they put that in there?
Good question.
Oh, it's because of this next part. The scale of revenue loss is driven primarily by the lack of comprehensive information, reporting, and resulting in difficulty in identifying noncompliance outside of an audit. And that's your key point right there, outside of an audit. So what they're saying is, mm, we're not going to look at it if it's at 166 billion per year, assuming that you're a large business or a corporation, and you're only going to have to answer to it if we audit you. So already right there, yeah, you're screwing over small businesses. We know exactly what that is.
Yeah.
That's basically saying fuck small businesses.
Yep.
It, but the second one is right here, investment accounts. So this is footnote 2,
Mm-hmm.
which says current income reporting by financial institutions would be expanded to all entities, including certain corporations, Interest payments would be included in the loan account reporting. Transfer fee information would be reported for all real estate transactions on Form 1099-S. So essentially, what that means is they're not going to look at large, large real estate investments, but they're only going to look at, as they say themselves right here, certain corporations. But as far as financial institutions, expanded to all entities. So what does that mean? Well, that's not clearly defined.
Mm-hmm.
So by all entities, are you saying you're going to start looking at, I don't know, BlackRock? I'll bet you money the answer is no.
Nah.
But if it was someone like me who decided to, I don't know, be a small time real estate holder that had over, well, as they state here, $600, I am I am now going to have all of my financial transactions looked at and scrutinized. I don't know if they would do it to maybe if they do it to BlackRock, hey, you know what, that actually might actually be a good thing because yeah, BlackRock has engaged in some questionable business practices, but I have a fucking funny feeling considering the $600 mark, that's probably not going to be the case. Because why would you lower it to $600?
That part, I have to admit, is concerning me. Now, I don't know how it works with you guys. Again, different country, blah, blah, blah. But over here, if you've got £3,000 in your account, you won't be able to get any form of dole money, i.e., social, whichever term you wish to use. But we have over here, it's been known as the dole. Okay. Now, all right, £3,000. That's a lot. Don't get me wrong; it really is. That shows that you must be doing something right in your life. But 600, really? That's pathetic, actually.
Well,
It really is.
that's actually just below the asset threshold of what you would get if you were on unemployment, like standard unemployment before the COOF thing happened.
Yeah.
So that's the reason they're setting the market threshold at $600. Because if you're depositing 500, I mean, let's be blunt. Most of the kickbacks you're getting,
Yeah.
or mostly EBT cards, things like that, you're not depositing actual dollars into your bank account. If you
True.
are, it's going to be below the $600 threshold. So that's why that threshold is set at $600.
Yeah.
And
Well, one thing, tiny thing, really, really is. First of all, hey, Miss Murder, you notice how you were saying about the EBT card? Yeah, you remember mentioning this?
mhm.
Say it last word once more. You're thinking, what? Card, indicating plastic money. I'm telling you now, they are going to want to get rid of script, which will be the term used for cash money. It is going to be wanted. Okay, they'll
I know
want to erase it.
that actually brings us to this last paragraph that I wanted to bring up
Mm-hmm.
before I really get to the actual meat and potatoes.
Yep.
Reporting not only gross receipts, but also gross purchases, physical cash, as well as payments to and from foreign accounts and transfer inflows and outflows. In other words, anything above $600, whether it's cash or just exchange of commodities, things like that, it's all going to be reported.
Mm-hmm.
And they're gonna want your tax identification number. They're gonna want your 1099-K. And this is not anything really to to be terribly concerned about. This is kind of par for the course. But the fact that it's $600 when it comes to reporting gross receipts, but also gross purchases, physical cash, as well as payments to and from accounts, They're just looking at, they don't even care about what you're spending money on. They want to know if you're transferring money from foreign accounts. And they also, even if it's not a foreign account, they want to know if you're doing inflows and outflows from, say, your savings account to your checking account. It, if you're getting, in other words, what this means is if you're getting money from the government, they want to see if you're putting it into a savings account from your checking account, or if you're putting from your savings account or checking account to a brokerage account, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
So, and again, $600. That's again, that's not shit. If they're really concerned about people trying to do tax evasion, it's not 10,000. It's not 100,000. It's not a million. $600. That's
Yeah.
that's a month worth of food for a family with 2 kids,
Yeah.
and that's on a budget.
Yeah.
That's normally I'd look at this and go, somewhat concerning, but considering how broad base this is, it's more concerning than it should be. Until until we get into the real meat and potatoes, and this is when it all starts to make sense. And
Mhm.
it's this last line here. And most people have not talked about this, and I'm surprised they haven't because
Ha 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 ha! Just read it.
be, because it's so damn obvious as to why this proposal exists in the first place.
Mhm.
Similar reporting requirements would apply to crypto asset exchanges and custodians. Separately, reporting requirements would apply in cases in which taxpayers buy crypto assets. That's what this is about. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is what this is about.
Yeah.
That's that's exactly what this is about.
That would teach me to read on. Oh dear. Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. When it comes down to a crypto, the thing is you still have to report crypto in terms of capital gains, capital losses. You still have to do that.
Oh yeah.
Uh, if I were to sell my crypto right now, I'm sitting on capital gains. I would have to report that, and I would have to pay taxes on it. But I don't have to tell the IRS what crypto I owned. I don't
Joker,
have to.
Jim has asked anything about metals. This is much more your thing than mine, so I'm letting you deal with this, man.
It, ironically enough, no, there's nothing about metals, thankfully. And depending on what state you live in, and I'm considering the way things are right now, I'm just gonna give you guys a very solid heads up. Depending on what state you live in, don't buy like SLV or GLD or anything like that. Buy physical gold, physical silver, because depending on what state you live in, you won't pay taxes on it. It'll be a zero sales tax. And then once you have it in your possession, you won't pay property tax on it. It's just there. You you'll never pay taxes on it ever again. It doesn't matter what the price of gold or silver does. You own it, you're done. You don't have to worry about the price of the dollar. You don't have to worry about crypto going up and down. You don't have to worry about crap like this. You own the gold, you own the silver, which is why I will constantly say take the amount of money that you have and at least take 5 or 10% and dedicate it to physical gold and physical silver, and then lock it up in a fucking vault or a freaking fireproof box somewhere and then forget about it. You'll thank me when all of this nonsense is done. Because looking at this, all this is here, the only reason that this entire bill exists, the whole only reason they want to do this is really about this last clause right here when it comes to crypto and crypto assets. Because it doesn't just mean Bitcoin. This applies also to crypto gaming, NFTs. Uh, if any of you guys have ever played a mobile game where you can use in-game tokens to buy things and exchange things, well, guess what? This applies to this as well because that would technically be considered a crypto asset. It's a very broad term because crypto doesn't inherently mean that it exists on a blockchain. And it's what a lot of people don't realize. This could apply to a lot of other things. I remember when EA was in trouble with the quote gambling scandal that was going on. This applies. So if you have $600 or more worth of some sort of asset that's worth $600 in EA's gambling, uh, loot box thing going on, and it's considered to be valued at $600. And God forbid that Congress even try to figure out what $600 in terms of loot boxes actually is, but that's neither here nor there.
Doku, pause. Users asked, could you please say the name of this or give me the link to read through it themselves? Would you mind sorting that out? Obviously, you have it because it's sitting there.
Yep, hold on. Let me find it for you.
Okay.
So
and this information you give, is that for all of the metals? Jim has just sat down there and listed an absolute butt ton of them.
as far as I know, this would apply to copper, gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. Palladium would be very difficult to find, but if you can find it. But it should apply to all of them. But again, it depends on what state you're talking about. Because some states will tax you, but it will be a one-time tax. Other states, you just buy it free of tax. The state that I live in, I can buy silver at spot price with whatever premium it's on or premium, and I don't pay any taxes at all whatsoever. And it just sits in a fireproof box somewhere. Doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And I will find that link for you. Just give me a moment. So
absolutely no problem. I'll talk rubbish until you're ready. So yeah, I thought you guys were already screwed. Wow. It's getting ridiculous. I mean, look, I'm not trying to say that it's not going to happen over here because it will. Okay. Things that happen in America will happen worldwide. And seeing as two of the top economies being China and America are now doing this, like I said, the EU will, and I'm not even questioning this in the slightest, EU will do it. They will insist that Britain does it. And then it will start to spread throughout the world. I mean, to put it bluntly, who's left? Nobody. Once China, America, Europe, and England, I mean, you got Russia. Well, Russia's going to want to trade with some bugger at some point, so they're going to have to start doing it. It's going to become an ongoing thing. And no, Mitch, the Taliban won't be exempt. What they will do is that the country itself might not want to, but everyone else outside it will want to keep an eye on it. And that is how the Taliban will be monitored. They won't necessarily do it themselves, but it will happen, at least in my opinion. You got the link, mate?
I'm looking it up right now.
Okay. Theoretically, it should be at the top of the bloody screen.
Oh, no, I want to give the proper.
All right, cool.
So let me make sure this should be at page 88, if I remember correctly. So this will be a PDF for everybody who is interested. It's a 145-page document for the 2022 budget proposal from the IRS, just so everybody is aware. But page 88.
Okay. It's just it gives anyone that wants to talk about it on their own shows, it gives them the opportunity to do so, mate. Because we may have found it, we are not attempting to claim that we're the only people. No, it's here you go, guys. This needs to be dealt with. Let every bugger know about it. And just so as it's been said, because it has to be said, do not go to DC on the date. We all know what date that is. Do not go there. This is what they're trying to do. This is what they want. Stay away. Watch with binoculars. Watch on YouTube and laugh your ass off as they try and sting you all. And you're not there. Just say, yeah, there you go, Doku. I even actually advertised one of your idea.
Yeah, I've been wanting to point that out. I've noticed that's kind of fallen back into the
oh yeah.
people aren't talking about it. It's like, yeah, you should still keep talking about it.
Yeah.
Because that's
right. I realise that you can't. You're one of those that don't like to say the exact date, but I believe it's the 18th of this month. Just cough once if I'm correct. Right there. So you see, I don't give a shit what I say, but Doku doesn't like to. But on the 18th of this month, September, I don't want there to be any error in this. Stay the fuck away from DC. Avoid it. If you have to go in, call sick. Okay? Seriously, that place is going to be used as a trap for the right. And I've already said this before, but I feel like saying it again just because I feel like it. They already have images of what you guys are going to be doing. Yeah, you heard me. Already pre-planned. And so when people don't turn up, and I really, really hope that is the case, but when they don't turn up, they already have information to show that you lot are rioting. So it's going to be really hilarious if you lot can act, and anyone that is dumbass enough or lives there to actually go watch it, stream it, show it. Okay.
all right. I'm gonna
drop
you that one because the publication that I found seems to have been changed.
Okay. You want me to? I've done a copy. Do you want me to slap it in comments?
Yeah, drop it in the comments for them because I was looking through.
This is the information that was given. People enjoy. Hopefully, it's of use to some bugger.
So, and then also, if you don't mind, drop this one because this comes from the Treasury Department, but this seems to be a different. The document itself seems to be different. So I was scrolling through and I was having a hard time finding where exactly the page was, but it's not page 88 in that document. But that document's 145 pages. I was reading through some of the stuff in that one as well, and it's equally as concerning.
I believe that's correct, dude.
Yep.
Cool. I believe that will be the information that you may want. Is
Oh, and that's the thing. The first one, somebody went out and found the information for you. The second one is the fiscal year 2020 PDF from the Treasury Department. It's not lining up from what I could tell because it's not from the IRS, it's from the Treasury, so it's a bit different. But I would just through my brief scan from the Treasury Department's PDF. There's one or two things that actually caught my eye, specifically the there's a a 1.2 billion thing in there that is somewhat worth a read. Worth a read. And
Jim, the answer is because they want the control that is being forced upon you. So that's why it's okay with them. This is yet another way to get control. Now, I'm not suggesting you fight the system, but nonetheless, you don't want to do things like that because they don't like it when people do that. And I'm just going to remind you, how long will it be before America starts dealing with things the way that China does? I'm sure that's not going to go badly. I'm sure there won't be any problems whatsoever.
oh, wait a second. I think I actually I might have found what we're looking for.
Mhm. You're welcome to use anything you see here. Seriously, we're not those people that this is our information now. If it comes up here and it's handed out, knock yourself out, go with it. Really is.
Aha. So,
Uh-huh.
okay. So this is going to be page 8, 8
Mhm.
of 12,
8,
and
12.
yeah, this will be page 8 of 12, and it will be exactly what you guys saw on the screen.
Okay, give me a few moments. I will wallopy. And comments. I'm a bit slow with this. People deal with it. And does that look right to you, mate? Just want you to check.
IRS PDF P5530. Yep, it is.
Okay.
And just for everybody, I will also go ahead and screen share real quick just to show you that, yes, I do my own due diligence.
Good
So,
job. One of us does.
so here you go. If you guys can see the screen
Yep, they can.
right there at the top, that is irs.gov/pub / IRS -PDF / P5530.pdf, where right here it does say, oh, looks like they got rid of that crypto thing.
Well.
But this is essentially the same thing they're saying right here.
All right. Similar reporting requirement. Stop moving the bloody thing. Similar reporting requirement was applied to crypto asset exchange and custodians. Similarly, reporting requirements would apply to cases where taxpayers buy crypto assets. You see all that? Is that the sort of thing? AMC, good to see you, mate. If you want to pop in and scream at people, let me know. I'll send you a link.
See, they changed it a little bit. With a fair market value of more than $10,000 after reports of transactions. So they changed it. This proposal will be effective for tax years beginning December 31st, 2020. But what hasn't changed is this. So again, they might have changed a few things. I'm sure the crypto market probably saw this and lost their ever living shit. So
Can't think
they
why.
well, and so they essentially what they did is normally the $600 value, normally it's $10,000. So like if I drop 10,000 bucks into a checking account, it would normally be just it would get looked at anyways. It That's just kind of standard operating procedure. So it's funny to me that for the crypto market they changed this to 10,000, but this 600 hasn't changed. So it's still so my checking accounts can still be 601,
Mhm.
but yeah, I could have $10,000 worth of crypto and yeah, it's fine. But I can have a checking account with 600 bucks in it. And I can go buy piece of bubble gum, and the IRS is like, oh, yep, let me look at that. Say, this is nonsense, because essentially what this means, how on earth am I going to put money, as someone who invests in crypto, as someone who invests in stocks, I don't directly deposit money into my crypto account or my stock account. It goes into my banking account, and then I transfer money to one account or the other. Well, I'm not doing it at $500 at a pop. Like, and even if you did in 1 month, and this is something that people unless they're a CPA, a certified professional accountant, they'll tell you this. I'm not going to put $500 1 month, and then $500 the next month, and then $500 the next month when my paycheck is $4,000. Uh, the fact that I'm already depositing my paycheck and it's over $600, anything I transfer, guess what? This doesn't matter. This is nothing. This means absolutely nothing. The fact that you're depositing more than $600 into your checking account, your savings account, it whatever you choose to do with that money afterwards, it's already over $600. So it doesn't matter where it goes. This this means nothing. The IRS is still going to be able to watch what you're doing. They're still going to be able to see where the money goes, to what account it goes to, and they're still going to be able to track that account. Read through all of this. This is nothing more than an excuse to, I guess Big Brother wants to figure out how many sticks of bubblegum you're buying, because that's all this means.
It's control, dude. You know it's control. And you're saying about the sticks of bubblegum, but they're not doing it to target bubblegum. Just before anyone says anything stupid, and I realise that you're saying this tongue-in-cheek styly, but the point is, it is a control thing. It's so as they can monitor everything. The fact that it means that yes, they can monitor your chewing gum is just literally a part of it. Thing is, don't think of it as just things like that. They're doing it so as it's another good way of actually being able to get air quotes criminals and those that try to exploit tax breaks. They're just using it to try and break in some extra cash. That is actually what this is. It's just going to lead on to social score.
Oh, and so I want to address the chat. I want to address both Jim and then Mitch. Just to really flush out so that everybody understands what this actually means. So, Jim, if you wanted to buy an Xbox and that Xbox is going to cost you more than $500, technically no, but here's what you would have to do. If you didn't want to be subject to this piece of legislation, you'd have to open a bank account and put less than $600 in, and then use that bank account to buy that Xbox, assuming it costs less than $600, and then basically close it. So, that being said, let's say you have a bank account that's over $600. Well, it doesn't matter what you do. If you have a bank account that's worth $600 and it's in the same name, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. If and it's listed here. I forget where it's listed. If you have two checking accounts but they're in the same name, if one of them is over $600, guess what? You're going to be monitored as long as one account, whether it's your checking account, your savings account, your brokerage account, your crypto account, if one of them's over $600, they're all tied. They're all in the same name. Doesn't matter. So basically, if you're worth more than $600, or if you have more than $600 in the bank, guess what? You're being monitored. Big Brother's looking. That's what this means. And Mitch, I actually do agree with you. I know a lot of people think that this is the IRS is just looking for people who are trying to do tax evasion. Yeah, because people worth less than $600 really evade taxes. You'll see a lot of people making excuses trying to say that this is what this is about. No, it's not. What this is about is it's going to be used for coercion. We've already seen coercion in terms of who's allowed on an airline, who's allowed to rent a car. You're not bending the knee, you're not bending to the will of the government. This will be used as a way to identify certain people. It'll be used as coercion. It'll be used to force them to bend the knee for whatever reason. And that's really what this is about. It has nothing to do with evading taxes. It has to do with figuring out who you are, and if you don't do what we say, then we're going to put pressure on your banking institution to essentially close out your checking account, or at least prevent you from accessing it. So you can't have access to your money until you do what we say to do. That's really what this is going to be used for.
You just said to skirt this, you have to constantly be creating a series of accounts and never have more than $600 in any of them. The concept is correct, but see, the moment your name comes up more than once, so in fact, you know what? Let's take this. Only 3 times, okay? They're actually going to start monitoring that name. So the moment you use that name again to open a new account, it will be tagged. And yes, there's only $599.95 in it. And that account will be being destroyed, but the name is going to be watched. So the next time you open up an account, they will automatically treat it as, yeah, we need to keep an eye on this person. And well, at that point, you're on their sites.
You're on the shit list. I mean, if you open up 3 accounts, in the same month, you're already on a shit list. Like they don't even need to pass this just to do that. That law already exists. Yeah, if you open up 3 accounts in the same name, they're already looking at you going, why are you opening up 3 accounts in the same name in the same month? And again, bear in mind, that's not even $2,000. Can you survive on $2,000 while having to open up a new bank account, let alone 3 of them every month at a different bank every month? Do you think there's even enough banks to actually do that? I can give you the short answer, and I'm going to. The answer is no. There's a reason they set that number at $600. It's because the majority of people who are actually on government welfare, they're not getting $600. So they're only focusing on people who aren't already on government welfare, and that's who they're targeting. And they think they're clever about this, but we know why the $600 mark is where they chose the $600 mark to be. It's because the majority of people who are on welfare are at the $500 and $550 mark. Mm-hmm. You don't get more than $600. Like, perhaps I'm giving a lot of people too much credit.
Goku, you might want to take notice what you just said of the latest one. I actually think that they may well actually have the right idea. I can see that happening. What about you? Mm-hmm.
What they're doing is they're monitoring people who are not on welfare. That's basically what they're doing.
Yeah.
Which, ironically enough, if you actually go through and you look at people who manage to evade taxes, they're actually people who are on welfare. It's like the bottom. Well, the majority happens to actually be the bottom 50%, but it's the majority is actually like the bottom 20 to 30%. Like the bottom 20 to 30% actually do a better job at evading taxes than the top 10.
Hey, MC. Welcome to the shit show. Honestly, we're not paranoid. Honest Gov.
Okay. First of all, Doku, you're not wrong, but you're not right either. This move is not about tax evasion. All right, and that's not why it is a move of control. Okay, but the primary emphasis of this is not tax evasion.
Oh, I didn't. No, I wasn't saying that it was about tax evasion. I've heard a lot of people trying to say it was about tax evasion. I think they're completely full of shit. Like,
well, they're the same people who sit up there and say that 50% of the population. I want you to remember this. I mean, I'm sorry, the top 1%.
Mm-hmm.
They just recently said that the top 1% in this country, all right, didn't pay $111 billion in taxes that they owe. Now, I want you to think on this. Okay, they're claiming that they didn't pay $118 billion of taxes that they owe. Now, this sounds like a lot, $118 billion, right?
from the top 1%, that's a drop in the bucket.
The top 1% pay 1.5 trillion in taxes. Okay, so you're saying what you basically said is that we're missing 10% from the top 1%. Really?
Oh no, you're missing less than 1%. But look at what you're missing from the bottom 50. The bottom 50 don't pay taxes. If you want to do a cumulative estimate, the bottom 30% owe a lot more taxes than the top 1%.
Oh no, I'm not going to argue that. I don't disagree with you there. My point is anybody who sits there and says this is about taxes is just an idiot.
Oh no, and that's the thing. It's not about taxes, and I kind of agree with Jensen on this one. This is about, and this. Oh, let me rephrase this because I don't want to sound too tinfoil hat.
That's my job.
What this is about collecting information so that the government can coerce people, or more specifically, they can coerce institutions to put pressure on people who are not acting in the way that the government wants them to act. It's the same way that the government was trying to put pressure on businesses, nightclubs, grocery stores, airlines for not getting a pokey or doing things that they didn't like. And they couldn't take direct action because it's technically unconstitutional and it would go to court. So instead, they coerce the private sector to enforce laws that they can't necessarily enforce themselves. That's what this is essentially setting the stage for. I mean, mark my words.
Well, it'll be used that way, but that's not what it's being used for.
But
the problem with cryptocurrency is that it's at a point now where it can be used for money laundering.
Oh, MC, I'm not even talking about the crypto. I'm not even talking about the crypto aspect. I mean, that's something in and of itself, but I'm talking more specifically about the fact that all of your information, regardless of where it is, you're not going to have private banking. You're not going to have a private financial institution.
That is one of the things that they've done is they've they're creating new regulations for the government on banking, and you are correct. They will use that as a lever, right, to hammer you. And this is one thing that a lot of people who got into the quote unquote weed business because it's quote unquote illegal in their states, all right, found out when they try to open bank accounts. I have warned about this for a long friggin' time.
And that's my point. This is the crypto thing is sort of just, icing on the cake, but really what this is about is getting access to all your private banking information so that there is that ability to put pressure on institutions to essentially force you to act a certain way. If not, you're going to be squeezed out of society.
It's not just that. You got to remember something, folks. People who run around, everyone loves running around with these freaking debit cards, right? Mm-hmm. Every time you make a purchase on that debit card, okay, that can be tracked. In fact, that's how they use to track people, all right, that they're interested in the police, when they're sitting up there trying to establish, movement and things like that, they look at that data, okay, and say, okay, this person was in this area, this person was in that area. We can prove it because we've got this credit card. We got this number, all right? They're trying to end cash. And the reason they're trying to end cash isn't so they can, quote unquote, monitor your money. It's so they can monitor your movement, so that they can tell where you are or where you've been. Because mark my words, that's what they're going to try and use it for. Yep. They're going to try and establish, because they know what's coming. They're creating a situation where there's going to be terrorism all over this country as they define it, whatever that definition comes down to be, like you protested. And they're going to start tracking you, going, here you are, you were at this protest, we can prove it because you bought this sandwich at this state, right? Or at this lunch counter the day before.
Well, it's not even, MC, it's not even just that. It's they're going to be able to identify you, just you bought a sandwich at this time, at this date, one time, even if you were only there one day. But they're going to be able to use it to restrict you from being able to actually engage in society as a whole. And
sure. Once again, yeah, they'll do that as well. They're already doing that. Take a look at what they did to Flynn, right?
Guys,
you get a notice in the bank, from the bank, saying that we no longer will sit there and accept your, we're canceling your credit card.
Guys, you guys are saying about using the credit cards to track you and things like that. 99% of you have, probably within arm's reach, a tracking device waiting for you that you carry around by choice every single day of your life, wherever you go. It's called a mobile phone. There is many reasons. I know, MC, you're going to about to tell us no, they don't. But guess what?
I didn't say that. I wasn't saying that. That's not what I was going to say. You don't understand. Okay.
Okay.
You're not wrong about that. But see, in order to actually identify a person, right, you need to be able to do things that narrow the field down. Okay. And you do that with the money trail. And then you can go back and go, okay, now let's take a look at where the cell phone of this individual was. See, we who are the people that the riot took place at, let's say, downtown Tucson. We'll just use that as an example. All right. So downtown Tucson, what they're going to do is they're going to say, okay, let's canvass this area in about a mile or 2 mile, whichever arbitrary number they use, and say who has bought sandwiches, all right, an hour before the riot, for example. And they can take that data and go, okay, let's winnow this down. Boom. And so you'll get a list of those people. At that point, they're going to be able to go, okay, who lives in the area and who doesn't, because they're going to be focusing on the people who travel. Okay. And then at that point, they say, okay, here's the people that don't have addresses in Tucson. Okay. Now we'll sit up there and use the cell phone data. Were they also in that area at the time of said, riot, right? We got this guy's cell phone. He was there. See, he was right there at that thing. That's what they're going to use this. This is one of the ways they can use this. Right. But the monetary aspect of this, the first part of the monetary aspect they're going to use this for, right, is to, and I've warned everyone about this, right, is cryptocurrency is not secure. It's trackable. Okay. It's instantly trackable. What they're doing is they're putting their mitts on it so that they can track it.
And also,
it gives them the ability to do what Doku said later on. Yeah, if you don't act like the way we want, we're just going to cut off the funds.
Oh, and MC, something that has to be pointed out, and this is the reason that they want to do this, and they set it at the $600 mark, and they want access to your banking information, is because they want to see, A, who you are, B, what you spent money on, and this includes if you bought a plane ticket, a bus ticket, if you bought a rental car, where you got gas from, where you live, because that information is going to be privy to them as well. And then if you fall in line to these certain demographics, guess what? They're going to be able to use this information, and they're going to be able to use it as leverage, and they're going to be able to coerce the banking institutions, because we've seen this happen before. It's happened to Alex Jones. It happened to Lauren Southern, where they will put pressure, where they will actually come out and flat out seize your assets. End of story. And whether you believe it's constitutional, right or wrong, it's not going to matter. They will come out and they will use an excuse to do it because they've already done it. But they'll be able to do it on a mass scale. They'll be able to just go through and say, you bought a plane ticket on this date. You went from this location to this location. You got a rental car at this location and went to this location. You got gas at this location. And you got a hotel at this location. You bought a Subway sandwich at this location. You know what? You fit our profile. We can't do anything as the government, but we can coerce your banking institution to say, you know what? You should freeze their bank account. And then next thing you know, you go and you try to pull money out of the ATM. Guess what? You can't.
Mm-hmm.
That's how this is going to be used. If you don't think that's how it's going to be used, I hate to break it to you guys.
It's not the only way that it's going to be used. That was my point. I agree with you. It is going to be used that way. It'll be used that way as well.
But yeah, that's kind of what scares me. I mean, there's other nefarious purposes for it, but I think that's going to be the primary focus on this. Is it's going to be used to target political dissidents. And I mean, the thing is, we're already starting to see that type of coercion going on with the poke. You have to do this thing, otherwise you're not allowed to leave your state. Or if you come into our state, you can't rent a hotel or you can't fly. Not because that's really the policy of the hotel or the airline, but the government is going to put pressure and try to force you to, do what we say. Otherwise, bad things are going to happen. Do what we say or else. This is just another extension of that. And the excuse will be, well, no, it's just about tax evasion. No, it's not. Anybody with two shit. So I'll put my I'll put my nice guy shtick on the side for the second. If you don't think this is going to be used by the fucking government to try to coerce you into fucking bending the knee to, shut up and do as you're told, because fuck you, this is not about your freedom, it's about your safety because I fucking told you so. If you don't think that the government is going to fucking use this for nefarious purposes, you're a fucking idiot. Hey, you are an absolute fucking moron if you don't think there's some power-hungry fucking megalomaniac who's going to sit there and fucking use this information to fucking shove your head in the dirt and say, I'm not going to let you stop sniffing the fucking dirt. Like Amazing Lucas, I'm going to shove your fucking face in the ground and make you smell your shit because you're a dirty little dog. If you don't think there's some fucking megalomaniac, egotistical little shitbag and a position of power that's going to fucking use this to do that to you, you're an absolute fucking idiot. That's exactly what the purpose of this is. This is not for your safety. This is not to try to prevent tax evasion. Hey, let's be blunt. Do you think the government really even needs your taxes? They can sit there and print money into perpetuity. They don't need your fucking taxes. It's just there to keep you fucking in line. The only reason this exists is to figure out, who you are, what you're doing, where you are, what you're spending money on, and are you a threat to us? And if you are, well, then guess what? Dude, you're going to be sent to the fucking gulag. And they've said it themselves. And you don't even need a Project Veritas video to fucking confirm that. They've basically said the same damn things themselves because they've let the fucking mask slip on mainstream media before. Yeah, that's our job, not theirs.
Guys, Doku, just you want to take note of what Misha just said, mate. That's fucking horrible as a concept. But Doku is talking about a Pelosi Fauci love child.
It's not.
That is not a mental image we ever need, dude. Just go and stand in the corner. That's horrible.
But that's essentially what they're doing. This is a slow death march towards an authoritarian regime. And the thing is, they're actually very smart about what they're doing because they're trying to frame it in one way where it's like, oh, well, yeah, I guess everybody should pay their fair share. That's, that doesn't sound too bad. And then you give up a little bit at a time, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. But guess what? Once you give it up, you never fucking get it back unless you fucking fight for it. That's why I can't stand these individuals who are like, oh, yeah, I don't mind the IRS spying on my private banking institution, even though it violates my Fourth Amendment rights. The more and more people actually go down this road and get coerced into it, because let me take a different approach. How do you think people would respond to this if Donald Trump was implementing these policies? What do you think the left would be doing right now?
They'd be going mental, and you know it.
That's my point.
They would also be taking notes. I just want to add that. Okay, they would be taking notes. Karen.
Well, and that's my point. If Donald Trump was doing this right now, the left would be losing their absolute ever-living fucking minds. Mm-hmm. They'd be like, how dare that evil fascist Nazi wants to, see my bank account and my bank transactions. But the fact that it's their guy in office, that they don't think twice about it because they're brainwashed fucking idiots. If Donald Trump was doing this, they would be up in arms. Cities would be burning around.
By the way, you managed to say that without going climate change goblin. I'm impressed, sir. I'm impressed.
I was very tempted, but
I bet it was.
But and that's the thing, and you'll notice this about. I can't say this about Trump supporters as a whole, but I can say this at least for me. When Donald Trump tried to do things like this, I got pissed too. I was like, nah, that's stupid. That's authoritarian. Like when he did the whole bump stock ban thing, I lost my ever-living shit. I'm pretty sure we did a stream about that. It's like, nah, fuck you, dude. Like that was dumb. I get you're trying to capitulate because you're looking for, some political points, a little bit of leeway, take a little bit of heat off you. But fuck you. You're giving ground that you shouldn't be giving ground on. That's weak.
That's not what he was doing. He believes that shit. Don't hold on a second here. Right? This is the problem with people who think that what Donald Trump is. Donald Trump is not a politician. When Donald Trump was issuing and trying to push the bump stock ban, right? He was doing that because he believed it. All right. He wasn't doing it because he thought he could score political points and it was here and there or that. No, folks. All right. And this is one of the problems with this. Yes, you are correct. Most Trump supporters did jump on frickin' about that. They did sit up there and call him out when he did bad things. But you will never see the left calling out Biden because for the most part, they are represented by the mainstream media. They are manipulated by the mainstream media, all right, through their fifis. So they don't think. They don't have a core principle. I've said this many times. The left is not principled. They don't have a core principle. And as a result, it's whatever their feelings. But their feelings are easily manipulated depending upon what images you show on the news or through the mainstream media. This is why they're so damn dangerous. All right. Yes, you are correct, Doku. That these people do not even understand what's happening here. And if Donald Trump was doing it, they would get upset only because the media would have sit up there and put it out there to get upset about it. But what's going to happen to these fools is when they finally wake up and say, hey, I'm going to riot over this. All you Antifa goons, all you Antifa dumb shits, guess what? This is going to be used on you. All right? Expect it. And it's going to be used to say, see, we're being even-handed because they've never really liked them anyway. Let's be perfectly honest. All right? They're going to use them. They're going to use them like the tools that they are. All right? All the BLM supporters, all you BLM supporters who are cheering, thinking you're getting something, something. Yeah, you're going to get something, all right. You're gonna get it right in the ass, all right? And the people are gonna be told to cheer about it, and they're gonna be shown these same people who were marching with you, singing glad hosannas, talking about how George Floyd was the greatest thing since sliced bread, are gonna find themselves in jail, going, "What the hell happened to me?"
That's the thing. They're useful fucking idiots, and ironically enough, So I really hate to bring this up because my dad's next door neighbor, my dad's next door neighbor was one of the pilots on one of the flights who lost their lives. He was the pilot of the flight that went to the South Tower. I'll put it to you that way. That was my dad's next door neighbor. My dad's wife was an American Airlines flight attendant. She was friends with his wife. His wife changed flights so they could be on the same fucking flight together. They both lost their lives on that day. So, touchy subject. So I'm gonna keep this not emotional and on point. But when I see someone like George W. Bush up there, and I'm going to keep this on point, I promise. But when he's up there going, oh, yeah, domestic terrorism, not only abroad, but at home. And he gives this very vague speech, which a lot of people took as he's taking shots at January 6th and MAGA. I listened to the speech, and weirdly enough, I would bring this question up to people on both sides of the spectrum. Is he talking about January 6th, or is he talking about Kenosha, Portland, Minneapolis, Seattle, LA, New York, Chicago, Houston, Austin, Dallas? I could go on. Who's he actually talking about? Because he didn't really call anybody out by name. You could easily say, okay, yeah, he's talking about January 6th. I could easily say he's talking about, the Chaz or the Chop in Seattle. Both are applicable. That's what I would like to point out. It doesn't mean it's on one side of the coin or the other, but I can tell you which side of the coin is far more egregious and has done far more damage over the past year, and it ain't the guys in the red hats. I can tell you that much.
No, they're prepping. They're going to create. You can see what he's doing already. You can see what he's prepping to do. Okay, he's prepping to create a civil war in this country.
Yeah,
he is literally trying to get there to be a civil war in this country. And I'm telling you, folks, the people who think it's that'll never happen. You watch. Look at how he's doing this. He is alienating. Understand this. He's alienating the military from itself. What do I mean by that? He is alienating the upper echelon of the military from the troops below them. You're already seeing it by this very fact of just saying you have to get these shots, and you get people sending out these emails. You have to get these shots from the Pentagon, and the lower soldiers and the lower enlisted are saying no, we're not, and the mid ranks are saying no, we're not. This is. Let me tell you right now. They really, and they don't. Maybe he doesn't believe that that's what's going to happen here, but it's prepping for a civil war. If you think that people in this country, you've seen it already with the state governors, right? Over what is it, 28 state governors have already said we're not going to do anything about this mandate. You can't do this. We're taking you to court. Okay. If the Supreme Court doesn't immediately stomp on this, and they better do it fast, if they try and kick the can down the road, you're leading to a civil war because people are going to be called out. You're going to see the National Guard sooner or later called out to say you can't enforce this, and them facing off with a federal force of some sort saying yes we can, and all hell's going to break loose.
MC, I don't want to break it to you, mate, but as far as I can tell, and again, willing to be wrong, but as far as I can see, your Supreme Court has no power left anymore, not after the way the government has treated it. It is quite seriously a bunch of old gits shouting into the void. It does nothing.
Well,
it's not even a threat value anymore.
They did that to themselves. No, they got, but you have to understand. There's got to be. They need the cover of legality.
Yeah.
All right. They need that impetus. Now, the Supreme Court could fix itself, all right? It would have to go through and redress a lot of things. I don't think if they had the willpower, they could start a process of fixing themselves. You're never going to do that with that idiot in charge right now, though, of the Supreme Court.
I want to touch on what MC was saying, and this should be a red flag to a lot of people. I don't know why it isn't. But when you have the military essentially purging people because they have differing political opinions, the only reason you do that, and there is only one reason. I do not give a damn who you are. You can try to give me an alternate reason, and I'm just going to tell you you're wrong. And I'm going to be very rude about my explanation as to why you're wrong. But when you have the military being purged because people have differing political opinions, it only happens for one reason and one reason only. It's because your loyalty lies to one area and not the other. In the case of what's going on right now, those who have a loyalty to the Constitution and not a loyalty to a specific political party, they're getting purged. The only ones that are being kept are the ones that have a loyalty to a political party. The ones that are getting purged, it's not even that they have a loyalty to political party. It's because they have a loyalty to the Constitution and the oath that they took. Some of the ones that are getting purged are Democrats. But the fact that they're not outspoken and bombastic about it, well, then you must be a Trump supporter. And how far the overt window has shifted. They're not purging people because they're a threat to the nation. They're purging people, and any 2-bit idiot with a blue check mark on fucking Twitter can try to say, "Oh, well, that's not true. You're a conspiracy theorist." No, you're a fucking dumbass. Sit the fuck back down. Shut the fuck up. The adults are talking, and for the love of God, someone sew this dipshit fucking bitch ass fucking moron's mouth shut before they say anything more detrimental. The only reason they're purging people is because they aren't pledging allegiance to a political party. They think pledging allegiance to the country is going to spark some sort of godforsaken civil war, when they're the ones who are actually going to spark said civil war. They're the problem, not us. But yet they want to continue down this path because we're the enemy in their minds. And unfortunately, they're the ones that currently have power. It's not that they're ignorant. This is the path they've chosen. And they want this. I hate to break it to you. I mean, MC, you might disagree with me, but I hate to break it to you guys. They want this path because they truly, honestly believe that they will win this war. Yeah, so they want us purged.
They do want to purge. You are right, but the ones that are in charge, the ones who are not in charge, the useful idiots, they don't believe it's going to happen that much. You can see it all the time. Oh, there'll never be a civil war. How long have I been warning about a civil war that's coming?
Hey, I've been warning about it too, because the escalation is getting to the point. I mean, did you see the video of the Proud Boys literally just walking after some Antifa, and they're running their asses off, and they turn around, they pop up 5 shots, the dude gets shot in the leg. They weren't even chasing them; they were walking.
It's going to get worse than that, though. And I'm going to put it to people: all you're waiting, all that's being waiting on, all you're waiting on right now, and this is what's going to happen. What kicked off the Civil War in the United States? People will say that it was the overturning of the Missouri Compromise, right? The Dred Scott decision.
It's Fort Sumter. It's Fort Sumter.
Well, it was Fort Sumter, but the Civil War had begun because before Fort Sumter in reality. Everyone just doesn't talk about it, right? The difference that kicked off the Civil War was an incident that happened in Virginia, all right, at Harper's Ferry, and that was John Brown. All right, John Brown's, this is why people need to learn about history. John Brown's attempted seizure of Harper's Ferry and subsequent execution, right? And what he was claiming was taking the moral high ground, bifurcated the nation, okay, into it's got to be armed. It's going to have to be an armed insurrection. Do not miscount this. Okay, do not miscount the power of a man standing up, talking, and saying, I feel so strongly about doing this, I'm taking up arms against you. Even though it took a few years after John Brown, for crying out loud, people don't even understand this. There's a, you've heard the glory hymn of the Republic? Okay. Mine eyes have seen the glory of, you've heard that song. I'm sure all of you have.
Uh-huh.
That song wasn't written that way. Okay. That song was rewritten because a woman was absolutely aghast at the words of the song, which started with John Brown's body is a moldering in the grave. Okay, so she rewrote the words. Okay, because of course everybody likes the tune. It's a great marching tune. Okay, and so she wanted it to be inspirational, but about the Union rather than John Brown. But don't misunderstand, that sentiment was powerful in the Civil War, both for and against him. Now you had January 6th. That has already started to bifurcate the nation a little bit more. But until you get the big martyr out there, and it's coming, I'm telling you now, it's coming, where somebody goes off, tries to kill several officials, and I'm not promoting this, folks. I'm telling you it's going to happen. I'm giving you warnings. What's going to happen is sooner or later, somebody on the right is going to do something, only in a hell of a lot better manner than what the left did with John Scalise. All right, where they went in there and go shoot up a bunch of freaking liberals. And it's going to be a bunch of liberal politicians, all right, gathered in an area, and there's going to be someone that makes an attack like that. Only it's not just going to be one person. It's going to be a small little group of about 10 hardcore individuals. It's going to happen, all right? And when it does, they're going to be brought in front of the court. These idiots, I'm telling you, they do not understand this because they take a lot of the wrong lessons from like the Soviet Union.
Well, you already had one fucking whack job Bernie bro try to go shoot up the Republican baseball game.
That's what I was referring to with John Scalise. All right. They've already had that happen, right? But that was just a single individual. No, it's going to be about 10, 15 individuals, maybe a couple more. All right. But it's going to be on the right. It's going to be when I say the right, you're going to see people doing it from that are considered right wing. And see, what will happen then is the left, being in charge, are going to say, time for the show trial, like the old Soviet Union days. We'll put this person on trial, and we'll show it to the nation. Because if you've noticed, these dumbasses think that this is a good thing. And what will happen is the guy will sit up there and eloquently express his viewpoints of what he was trying to do and why he was doing it and why it was necessary. And it's going to harden the lines. And I think within 6 months after something like that happens, you will see a civil war break out.
Gentlemen, just for one moment. Doku, I posted something DMs. Please do the thing. Make it so people can see it. Okay?
Give me a moment.
Yep. Take your time, mate. Karen said, I just wanted him to be able to do that because, yeah, it's a nice little meme.
Yeah, but you're not seeing it. Have you noticed, Mitch? They're not showing the trials on January 6th. All right? They talk about it a whole lot. They talk about this guy's pleading guilty, but they're not showing it. They're not showing somebody saying, no, I did it because of this, and this is nonsense. Okay, they'll do a show. They'll do a show trial. It'll be like it'll be along the what do you call it?
Thank you, Doku.
O.J. Simpson. They're going to try to do an O.J. Simpson kind of thing, or they'll try to do a George Floyd thing, right? That's what they'll do, and it's not going to work the way they think it will. I'm telling you now, it'll have an opposite impression because there's a lot of people who walked away from the trial with John Brown and said he was right. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's all it takes is when people go, yeah, he's right. They may not take up arms immediately, but at that point, it was only a matter of time. And that's one of the reasons why, believe it or not, the South, when they saw that the North did not condemn John Brown, that's when you saw the South actually start to move, all right, towards secession. And that's what you're going to see again. You're going to see a movement like that. And it's going to start because there's going to be a state like Texas. And I can tell you right now, Texas just enacted a very strict abortion law, right? Now, when abortions are legal and when they're not illegal, when a woman can get an abortion or not get an abortion is still, all right, because of the wording, there's no real definition. There's nothing in there that says 6 weeks, all right? There's nothing in there that says 4 weeks, all right? They stood up and said, define the heartbeat, all right? What is a heartbeat? Okay, I hate to tell you folks this, but if you don't have a heart, you don't have a heartbeat. If you don't have a heart, how do you know when you've got a full heart? Okay, just pointing these things out. These are all factors in this quote unquote, the heartbeat problem. They can detect it at 6 weeks or 4 weeks. A guy, let me tell you right now, if a person has a stethoscope and they put it on the woman's belly, if they can't differentiate between a heart the differentiate between the woman's heartbeat and the baby's heartbeat, then that's not a heartbeat. Okay, regardless of what they're saying in what they call it, ultrasounds or anything else. I'm not arguing about this one way or the other though. All right, I'm pointing out that Texas went out there and did this, and the left has lost its mind. And then right now you have the federal government under Merrick Garland trying to sue, saying we're going to sue on behalf of women. Where's the federal government standing in this? If the judiciary does not immediately throw out that case and say you have zero standing here, boom, it's over. Because what will happen is they'll drag that out. They'll try and put in forces to try and mandate allowing women to get sterilized or get abortions. All right, at some other week after the fact, and it's going to come to shove, and fighting's going to break out. That's one of the ways this could easily happen. Simply because the federal government has gotten too much power. I've warned people about this before. You got these idiots like, well, I shouldn't say this is an idiot, but one of the dingleberry things that good old Mad Dogs used to do, right, was argue about the money being given to the poor, right? Welfare. And I warned him that what welfare actually was. No. They need to be helped. I kept saying the government doesn't give you things. All right, the government only takes. And you say in that, well, they need to change the standards. No, they shouldn't be involved in charity at all. All right, because they use that for control, folks. And I've warned about this. And so this is just one example. The government will give me things. You have an entitled attitude if you think that the government should be giving you something. If you think that the government should be giving you, well, I'm hungry and the government needs to help me. No. You should not have that attitude. All right? That's an entitled attitude. If you think the government is there to help you, you're an idiot. Okay? The government should... You can't say that the government should be there to help you. You can come back and say that the government can help in these situations, and you can cut out small little caveats in there, depending upon how broad a scale things get. Okay, but if you're expecting the government to help you as an individual, you're an idiot. Okay, and I'm dead serious. You're an idiot if you're expecting that to happen. And this is the problem. The government has gotten overly broad in what it can do. Oh, we're going to order the Labor Department to issue orders for anybody who has more than 100 employees. They have to sit up there and mandate that their employees get this. Do you realize that there's no what that means? And this is all because of that jackass John Roberts. John Roberts could have stopped this, all right, way back in the day when they did something called the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare. Obamacare opened this up. this kind of activity by declaring that Obamacare was illegal, not illegal, right? Which Boehner or Roberts did. Roberts should have stood there and immediately said, no. You cannot have the government ordering you to purchase things. Well, you've got something right now where they can't even give it away. They can't even pay people enough to get vaccinated. I want you to think of this, folks. The governments around this country have been trying to pay people to get this vaccine. They are so desperate that people take this vaccine. You can't even pay people to get it. Okay? So where's the problem here? The problem is the fact that they don't trust the vaccine. Why don't they trust the vaccine? Because they trust nothing about what you've said about the vaccine. And they have every reason not to trust it because you have lied so much about this, all right, in such a short time frame that people are like, wait a minute, last week you said this. 2 months ago you were saying that. 3 months ago you were saying this. How come you guys keep changing your things? Where's the science in this? Follow the science. What science? And I'm not a decrier I'm not trying to spread disinformation. I'm trying to explain why no one trusts the government. And if you ban this thing because you're saying, well, that you're spreading misinformation, MC, we're going to ban you. Go ahead. All right, you have that power. I'm not going to deny the fact that you have the power. It doesn't mean it was right. It doesn't mean that you're using the power correctly. And it doesn't mean that you should have that power. But I understand you have the power. But I'm telling you right now, folks, there's a reason why no one trusts the government. And it's idiots like this, and they cannot see it. The media, which is so used to playing people's emotions, and they're doing it again, all they think about, their focus, is how do I manipulate the emotions to get what I want today, regardless of the consequences somewhere down the line. This is the problem with every time the government gets involved in trying to create some kind of quote-unquote social program. Okay, you create a social program. What's it do? Well, it's to change society in a good friggin' way. Not a problem, right? What happens, though, when the unexpected consequences come into effect? This is what happened with welfare. Now, with welfare, it took 30 years. It took a generation. For all of the negative consequences of welfare to show itself. With this, however, you're seeing the negative consequences almost immediately because we don't live in that society anymore because of how the media has tried to maintain their control of the narrative. And it's the media more than any other group that are the most heinous pieces of shit on this planet. Now, I know a lot of people are, I'm saying, how could you make this? I'll tell you right now. There used to be, in the world that America used to exist in, reporters were considered rats. They were considered vermin. They were barely, people understood that you needed them, but they were not. People did not hold them in high regard. They weren't these giant doyums that everybody trusted. That didn't come about until World War II, believe it or not. That was where the big change happened. Prior to that, people hated journalists. All right? And there's a good reason for it because they are vermin. They are trying to sway you with emotion, and most Americans knew it. The difference is in the past, those media organizations always had somebody else doing the same thing the other way, trying to sway your emotions with a different point of view. When the big media conglomerates took over, however, what you started seeing, all right, was a single narrative thought process begin to take place.
Oh, there's something I actually want to point out about that. And in regards to media, when this is just my opinion, obviously, when we started seeing a problem, it's when we started seeing media for entertainment, and I believe it was Rupert Murdoch who very first coined the phrase, and I'm not going to say it verbatim because I don't remember it verbatim, but it's entertainment first, and it's news second. And so when you're looking at and this might piss people off, but when you're looking at Anderson Cooper or Rachel Maddow or Don Lemon or Tucker Carlson or Geraldo at large, regardless of who you're looking at, they're entertainers first and foremost. They're not there to give you fair, balanced, unbiased information. They're there to entertain you, and that's why they're focused on ratings. If they're not news, they're entertainment. They're no different than uh, uh, watching the ball game. And that's what they do. So I don't know why people really pay that much attention to them. I mean, yeah, you might get some decent opinions from people, and emphasis on the word opinions, but you're not getting unbiased, just here are the facts and
In
come
all
to your own
honesty,
conclusion.
let's break this down here. I realize different countries, etc., but are there any true media left, or is it purely opinion piece pretending to be media? If there is, do let me know, because I'll be fascinated to know.
Do you want the?
It's not that. It's not that there's not media. Right? You have to understand something.
Well, sorry, MC. Can I go real quick, and then I'll let you rant real quick.
Go ahead.
So, Jensen, to answer your question, rarely, yes, there is. But to be blunt, if you really want objective media, and especially in regards to political news, the best thing you're going to get is going to be on social media, ironically enough.
That's what I thought. Okay. Right, thank you. And MC, you had something you wish to say, sir?
To say that there's not media out there. No, you got to understand something. Okay. NBC, CBS, ABC, all the alphabet channels, right? Fox News, okay. They do put out news, all right, but it's layered. It's layered news. Now, Doku, you have to understand something. Media, writing, newspapers have always been entertainment first. That's always been the case. Even back to 1775 and 74, all right, when you have the Boston Massacre, all right, as it was so called, right? This was entertainment. It's also news. It doesn't explain what happened to, in a sense, but it was married to, all right, a way of trying to express their viewpoints and their narratives. That part has never changed. Now, the recognition of it has changed, all right? But what really became a problem wasn't the fact that you had propaganda running around within the news sphere, all right? That always took place. The problem was during World War II, in order for the nation to survive during these major wars, when your country is truly under threat for being exterminated, you can't allow, all right, a quote-unquote other group of people, all right, acting like a fifth column. You can't tolerate it. And if you don't believe me, all you have to do is take a look at what happened during the Civil War. During the Civil War, everyone talks about how, that evil bastard, Abraham Lincoln, he kicked out some people, some copperheads, and threw them out. Yeah, because they began going past the point of just criticizing, all right, but they were trying to actually harm the effort. And the same thing, by the way, happened in the South. People think that this is a joke. In the South, there were times where people that were saying, hey, we got to give up the battle, all right, we're taken out and saying, no, you're one of those Northern sympathizers. Get the hell out of here. Now, both medias at the time, during that time frame, right, both the President Davis of the Confederacy and President Lincoln, they were constantly savaged in these papers because they were being called incompetent, they can't get the job done, etc. As long as it was supporting the war effort, though, that was allowed to continue. The moment they tried to stop the war effort, all right, and endanger the quote unquote national unity, was when those people were taken out. So during World War II, you had that situation take place, all right? But you also had it married to the mass media, all right? And this is where you're talking about entertainment. News, like I said, has always been entertainment. How long is the saw, if it bleeds, it leads, been out there? It's that statement has been out there for long before Fox News.
Oh, and so MC, I'm going to give you pushback on that one. Propaganda has existed for a long time, but what's the more recent iteration of media is it was usually not done for the sake of entertainment. What we're starting to see, or what we started to see,
you cannot look at the organs put together by the Hearst Foundation, right? You cannot take a look at Hearst and the Hearst papers back in the early 1900s and say that they were not propaganda. It's propaganda for the exact same purposes that you're seeing it today.
Well, but that was propaganda. What I'm saying is that propaganda has always existed. What I'm saying is that, in regards, at least with the United States, it was not propaganda guised as entertainment. The idea that this is news or / propaganda, but for the sake of entertainment, where it's no longer that there is a threshold. There is a very distinctive threshold where it's no longer.
But that threshold isn't what you think it is. Let me explain something to you. What I mean by that, okay? It's your view that quote unquote journalism should be objective.
Oh, it's not journalism. Well, MC, hold on. Let me stop you real quick on that one. It was never journalism. It was propaganda. But propaganda is propaganda. We did cross a line where propaganda became entertainment, and people started viewing it as objective news. But it's not news or propaganda at that point in time.
Excuse me. Your view that news was objective. That's new. That's only recent. Okay. The idea behind that news journalism and that writing the news should be objective is a quote unquote fallacy promoted back in the 1950s, all right, in these college institutions, which then came into, okay, well, we still have to sit up there and make it so that it's slanted one way. All right.
Well, MC, that's what I'm trying to say though, is I'm not trying to say that it wasn't slanted or wasn't propaganda. What I'm trying to say is that the idea that it became news for entertainment, the same way where you could put it on the same scale as watching somebody play a football game, that only happened somewhat recently, where people.
I disagree. The papers were all written so that they could expand their news. They were all written so that they would attract an audience. The idea that they were entertainment, okay, as entertainment. Now, granted, we have a different view of what we consider entertainment today. And the reason for that is because, quite frankly, we have a lot more free time than they did in the 1800s. All right, but the fact that papers were not entertainment, that people didn't read them for entertainment purposes. Oh, sure, they read it to know what was going on in the world, but the vast majority of the papers that were being read for entertainment purposes, and the people knew that from the way they expected it within the society. Within our society, entertainment is so much more broad, though. Okay. But the reason that you had it before, they've always looked at it as entertainment. It isn't until these people thought of themselves as superior to entertainment, all right, which is relatively recently, all right. And like I said, that part is recent. But that also goes on to the fact of, well, we're giving the unbiased news. See, we're objective. That whole idea of supposedly we're supposedly objective when you have people like Dan Rather. Dan Rather. All right, people don't know anything about Dan Rather, aside from the stupidity with the George Bush, his attempt to do a smear job on George Bush. But Dan Rather has made a lot of dumbass statements. One of the things that Dan Rather found was that CBS came out and said, look, we're CBS, we're a company, we're an entertainment company, and the one place that we're losing a lot of money on is in the news service, right? And when they walked in there and told Dan Rather that they were cutting salaries and they were cutting some of his staff, you know what his response was? His response was, "We're supposed to be the news. We're not supposed to be entertainment." No, you are entertainment. You see, it wasn't until they got that view that somehow they were different than entertainment. But that's something that has never actually existed.
So I guess I should point something out then. If Pearl Harbor were to exist today, it would still be viewed in the same light as who won the Super Bowl. And I know this would piss a lot of people off by me making that analogy, but I stand by it because if Pearl Harbor happened today, yes, people would view it in the same light as who won the Super Bowl. Now, if you go back to when Pearl Harbor was actually bombed, people would view it more as news, not necessarily as entertainment, because Pearl Harbor got bombed. You won't see that same type of this is what happened. This is a terrible thing. I mean, even going back to what was going on in the Korean War, that was reporting on the war. It's not until about around the Vietnam War where news and entertainment started to get convoluted to the point where are we talking about it, and it's the way that news is reported, how it's reported, and essentially what people were doing for ratings as regards to quote unquote journalism is regarded as. Where are you looking at what's going on in Vietnam as is this reporting what's going on in the war, or are we just giving people war porn? And
the thing about that though is, and you're correct, but the reason for that has to do with the medium more than anything else. All right, you got to understand this. Television creates a different medium. All right, this was pointed out by an individual, all right, who's now dead, Rush Limbaugh. Okay, now Rush Limbaugh was a very obviously controversial member of the media, and he was a member of the media. Right, anybody who denies that is an idiot. All right. The difference is, he was castigated because he was quote unquote conservative, and they couldn't have a conservative voice out there. This is why he had the kind of struggles that he did. It's also, however, why he was so popular, because he was giving information that you wouldn't give anywhere else. And he was doing that until he decided to try and branch out, because people were like, well, this guy's got such an engaging personality. Let's put him on television. All right, let's create the Rush Limbaugh show. So Rush Limbaugh had a 30-minute, really, to be honest, because of commercials and everything else, it's really only 20 minutes, right? Of 20 minutes of the Rush Limbaugh show. But it was only a 30-minute show. And he only did it for about 6 months, right? Before he walked away from it. Now, why did he walk away from it? There's a couple reasons he walked away from it. All right, and he outlined this, and he's 100% right. He goes, first of all, one of the biggest reason I walked away from it was because they were misusing my advertisers. Right, his show was so popular, but the media hated him so much. The leftists hated him so much. They were doing everything that they could to try and keep his ratings down. And if you don't believe me, just go back, because when he was on regular prime time, he started to dominate. So they immediately moved his time slot to around 11. All right. And even there, he was blowing away. All right. All these late night talk show hosts, right? All these idiots like Jimmy Kimmel and the Tonight Show and all those, they were all being destroyed because people were starting to watch more and more Rush Limbaugh, and then so they shifted him to 2 a.m. And I'm not exaggerating this. They were placing him in slots that were 2 a.m. And so did that stop people? No, because VCRs were kind of ubiquitous back then. People were going around and recording it. But unfortunately, one of the advantages of having a VCR is that when you come to a commercial, you can fast forward through it. Right? So, Russell.
Gentlemen, just 1 sec. Doku, please post the DM I sent you. This is from Shirati.
Okay. So this was an advantage. Now, all that said, Rush Limbaugh, when he canceled it, said because of my advertisers, we're not getting the right. They were being short shifted, right? They were getting the short shrift, right? It's not fair to them of what they're doing. He said, but he was wildly popular. Don't think that this was not a money-making thing for Rush Limbaugh. It was money-making. All right. They were doing everything they could to do it. But the one other thing that he said is I immediately noticed something when people would talk about it. And that is people would remember what they saw. They wouldn't remember anything that was said. Okay.
Yeah. By the way, that is obvious. That's from Shirati, and YouTube wouldn't allow her to post it, so she sent it to me. This had to be said, and do you know what? I believe the technical term is the coof can kiss MC's ass.
I do. I do not have the coof.
See, the thing is, we have roundabout ways of doing things.
Yeah, but anyway, back to this with Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh understood something at that point, which was in the television, because of the way human beings are. All right, the visual aspect and the emotional aspect of things is remembered, not what was said, not necessarily the importance of the context. It's the visual medium, and that is where a lot of the differences began. Okay, that you see, because when it comes to entertainment, you don't want a guy. Let's be honest. If there's a guy going on giving you a story about what's happening in the world, all right, let's be perfectly honest. Let's say a guy wants to give a history lesson. If he's just going out there in a lecture and he's telling you everything that's happening during the Civil War and everything else, and he's just standing at the podium, people will go, and they'll turn it off. But you start showing pictures of a battle and people being blown up and these guys charging and everything else. All right, it's a different medium. Do you understand? Right, and so that's where Doku, he's right about this in a certain sense, because the medium itself is more emotionally laden. All right, you have to add the emotional laden in it. When it comes to television, emotion is easy to portray. Facts are not. All right, to make it entertainment, but it's always been entertainment. Okay, I want people to understand it. It's always been entertainment. Rant's over, Doku. You can go on now.
I'm waiting for Jensen's input until I go on my little spiel.
To be completely honest, I hate to say it, but I'm in complete agreement with MC here. But mine is actually, I don't have that much thing to say, but I will point out thank you very much. That's actually very nice of you. I hope you enjoy yourself here, because contrary to popular belief, and you will see this when certain people come on, I'm not saying any names, but MC definitely has certain people he does like to say things to. Cough, cough, memes, cough, cough. But you're welcome. And if you ever do decide you're interested in coming on and speaking to people, just contact me through Discord. You'll be welcome to come on. We listen to pretty much any bugger's opinion. This stream was originally created by somebody who is in devout belief in the freedom of speech, so I tried to keep it going. Basically, Doku, unleash.
So I don't disagree with MC entirely, but I do have. I know it's a nitpick, so I want to start off with that. It's a nitpick. My nitpick is that, yes, I understand where MC is coming from. Yes, it's always entertainment, but to be blunt, news, especially news that is, whether it's a car crash, a train wreck, an airplane, falling out of the sky, or seeing war and unbridled, whatever you want to call it. As much as I know people would look at it and say that's terrible. Yes, it is. It is terrible. But when you present it in a way that you're removed from it, it is presented as entertainment, even if it is horrific. But let's be blunt. if you're not the one who's in the car crash, if you're not the one that's on the plane that's about to slam into the earth, if you're not the one that's in the train that's about to derail, everybody else that's observing, it's entertainment for you. Yeah, that is something that you just cannot get away from. It's an unfortunate aspect of human nature, but that's how things are going to be presented. That's how they're going to be perceived, whether you like it or not. To be blunt, tough shit. Welcome to the real world. But my point is this: we're not trying, or at least you shouldn't be trying to present news or the reality of the situation, or doing what CNN, or in some cases Fox News as well, tries to do, where you're trying to fabricate news or trying to present the situation in such a way where it's bombastic beyond what it should be so that it gets more views or it gets more clicks, and becomes sensationalized. And that's the issue that we have right now, is you're looking at news that, where yes, it might be tragic, it might be horrific, it might be out of the ordinary, but it is sensationalized and it's presented in a sensationalized manner, or in some instances is flat out misrepresented, to the point where it's not just entertainment. You could say, yeah, watching a train wreck is entertainment. Everybody loves a good train wreck. That meme exists for a reason. Whether you want to admit it or not, everybody's going to watch the train come barreling down the tracks and then derail and then burst into flames. And yeah, there's going to be a bunch of people that die, but you're still going to sit there and watch the train derail and burst into flames and watch a bunch of people die. It's entertainment. What we have now is the train didn't derail in the first place. It never happened. People didn't even die. It's become sensationalized to the point where it's the reason you have someone like Donald Trump sitting there and going, "You're fake news." It's because it's not even news for entertainment at this point in time. It's pure fucking entertainment. It's not news. It's fabrication. It's people presenting something in such a way that is so misconstrued, so misrepresentative of the actual situation, that it's, if you were to sit there and actually call it news, you'd be a liar. That's why and that's why I get irritated, not only just with CNN and MSNBC, because I know people from my side of the political spectrum and say CNN, MSNBC, or Fox News, or CNN and MSNBC are fake news. Fox News is guilty of this too. And it's because they're focused on ratings. They're focused on trying to present something in such a way where people are going to look at it and go, "Oh my God, that's terrible." But if you were just a random guy sitting there with a cell phone camera, it'd be like, "Yeah, that's terrible," but it's not nearly.
They don't care about that aspect of it as much as they want people to look at it. You got to understand, they're trying to attract views. Okay? It doesn't matter how they do it; they're just trying to attract views because that is their business.
On MC, that's my point. If you were to just have somebody sitting on the side with a cell phone going, "Hey, look at this train. It's going to derail." The train derails. Yeah, that's terrible. But then you see the way that it's presented on Fox News or CNN or MSNBC. It is sensationalized to the point where it's like, "Oh my God, it's the worst thing that's ever happened." And then you have a talking head who presents it in such a manner where they think it's the worst thing that's ever happened, when it's like, no, it's just a train that derailed. Yeah, it's tragic, but it's not the worst thing that's ever happened in the fucking world. But that's what these people. That's their business. They're in the business.
That's not where they went wrong, though. Okay, you got to understand something. That's not where they went wrong.
I get what your point. Let me just finish this point real quick. Where they go wrong is they're in the business of sensationalism. That's when you start breaking away from what is the news, what happened, what's the truth, and you start breaking into that idea or not idea, but you start breaking into the realm of sensationalism and hyping something up to the point where you're presenting it as something that it's really not.
I disagree with you slightly, okay? Because you're not wrong about the sensationalism aspect of it, right? But where you're wrong is that's not where they went. That's not where they went wrong. Where they stepped over the line, right, was when they tried to when they went out of their way to quote unquote create news. All right. When they sit up there and put a child in a cage and then they try to claim that this child is one of the people being held by the government and they're just showing the poor little kid in the cage. And of course, they put the kid in the cage to film it. They were trying to create something that didn't exist. When they go out there and they doctor and they've been caught now doctoring just simple things like the audio from the Zimmerman issue.
Well,
right?
now you're talking about actual fake news.
Well, but that's what they were. That's what they were doing. Okay, they were actually, and they're still doing it. CNN still hasn't stopped it. When you see the guy, all right, saying, "I'm in my boat and I'm traveling along because there's this great river," and then you see a guy walking in ankle deep water right behind him. All right, you never got to see the guy walking in the water behind him before. All right. That's where a lot of the problem has become, because they used to be able to fake news like this where people didn't know it, and they started doing it more and more. All right, because it became once the big three got shattered due to the alternate media coming into existence. Okay, you got to understand this. CNN created an entire entertainment industry of news constantly. So instead of being CBS and the CBS Evening News, where the news was only a portion of the entire CBS package, okay, CNN said, we are all news, and that's all we give you is news. They were lying about a lot of that because they weren't trying to give you news. They just wanted clicks, right? They just wanted views, all right? And which is fine, except for the fact that there wasn't enough news, all right, for people to be constantly interested in it unless you started to create it, unless you tried to fake it, unless you tried to sit up there and put it out there so that what they were showing, what they were claiming were two different things. Okay, when they started, and it wasn't just the parsing always took place. Now, they were getting hammered by people like Rush Limbaugh that said, look, they parsed this data. And that's true. And that's where Rush Limbaugh made his things. That's why he set up there and had the whole thing. The fusion of this. I guess it's one of these people who has the fusion of entertainment and enlightenment. All right, is one of the things. I guess it's not Rush Limbaugh. It's what's his name? He's on the Blaze. I can't think of it. Glenn Beck. Right. That's what his shticks. Right, and it is entertainment. Okay, but the reason. When they went out there and they started creating fake news to create outrage that shouldn't exist. It's not that outrage is unimportant to people. People should get outraged when things are outrageous. The problem is they were hiding things that people should have been outraged about, all right? Or they were trying to minimize it. And then they went the extra step of creating outrage on things that didn't exist. When they sit up there and show that jackass, all right, Miss Horseface, AOC, right, out there crying, I'm not the thing, and we're crying over the, and you see she's in a parking lot. Okay, that's fake news. It is fake news, and this is what they got used to doing to manipulate people's emotions. Have you noticed the people are starting to call them out about the whole January 6th thing? They're saying, where's the rest of this information? You claimed all this stuff. Now let's see it. Because they want to see it now. They want to see the justification behind it. And of course, there is no justification. That's why they're not doing these show trials.
MC, how can you say anything about AOC? She got PTSD and was murdered back then. Gosh. How dare you? I mean, how dare you?
All right, we're not even going to talk about that one. Yeah. Well, what we are going to talk about though, because I want to hear MC's take on this one. So the drone strike that apparently killed a aid worker and children. What do you have to say about that one, MC?
Welcome to war. Yeah. First of all, what makes you think? So he was an aid worker. What makes you think he wasn't part of the Taliban?
Oh, I don't know. That's the reason I'm asking.
Well, yeah, see, this is the thing that make me laugh about this. You had sticks go on and on. Oh, we killed an aid worker, and he was just trying to deliver water. Was he? Maybe that's true. Okay, that's possible. But why were they watching it? Do you understand what you have to do with drones in order to create a drone strike? You have to be given a target. All right, they don't just fly around, all right, and go, "Hey, what's going on over there?" Well, they do to some extent. Let me take that back a little bit. They do that to some extent, all right. But for the most part, this guy had to have been under surveillance, most likely, all right. That they were following him, and they were following him for a reason.
That's the reason I ask, because I have two conclusions. Either A, someone severely screwed up and mixed up who they should have been surveilling, which it's possible. I mean, that's a potential possibility. We can't rule it out.
You're right. I can't.
So, but the other possibility is this guy's not as innocent as you thought, and if children died due to the drone strike, well, yeah, it doesn't.
Look at how they sit up there and frame this. He was just an aid worker. What do you mean he was just an aid worker?
Well, and this is what I wanted to bring up. Do you think these people don't use children and aspects of warfare? So yeah, it's quite possible that they very very well could have been. You think it's water? Do you know? Hey, are you down there on the ground? Are you doing a chemical test? Do you know that it's not an explosive compound? And can you say with distinctive, I know for 100% this was water. If you can say that, then yeah, you know what? We done fucked up. But if you can't, then you don't know why this person was even targeted in the first place. So maybe you shouldn't jump to conclusions. Now, but that said, have we made mistakes before? Of course we have. But guess what? It's war. Yeah, again, it's war. Again, it's warfare. Do you think mistakes happen? Of course mistakes happen. Do you think innocent people die? Of course innocent people die. Do you think there's going to be collateral damage? There's always collateral damage. No matter how precise, no matter how good your intelligence is, there will always be collateral damage. And this is me coming from someone who does not like Joe Biden. I do not like the way that he's conducted the withdrawal from Afghanistan. But am I going to sit there and look at this particular situation and go, "Oh, no, this fits my political narrative"? There's probably something here that we as civilians, we as people who are looking in things from the outside looking in, probably don't realize. There's probably intelligence we're not aware of or not privy to. At least I hope there is, because if there isn't, then it is a massive failure. But
it can be a failure, but and that obviously is a possibility. But the reality is welcome to war, right? The idea that mistakes don't take place in war, and that only generals make mistakes. Are you insane? Okay, look. You can take a look at certain operations that took place in, for example, World War II, which is, the great thing about World War II is the worst thing about World War II is everybody references it, right? But the advantage of it is it is one of the most written about, and it's one of the most talked about scenarios that are out there. So a lot of people know a lot of these things. People, for example, know about Operation Market Garden. People don't necessarily know about the Hurricane Forest, right? But it has been written about, all right. Those of us who study history know what the Hurricane Forest campaign is, right? So to say that these things aren't out there, and in both cases, by the way, for the people who don't know, this was where the Allies made a series of mistakes at a general level. But to assume that only mistakes happen at a general level and not at a low level, all right? And what's a mistake in war? It's war, all right? It's destruction and killing. Did people die and were things destroyed? Yeah. Well, then from a war aspect, well, it was successful. Now, from the aspect of did you kill the right people? Well, who's the right people to kill in a war? Let's be honest. Well, the right people to kill in a war are the enemy. Who's the enemy? Right? Anybody that isn't you on your side. Okay, understand this. You put soldiers out there in an environment, and if you have people that aren't on your side, all right, they're the enemy. It doesn't matter if they're not on the other side either. Are they on your side? No, they're the enemy. Right? They may not be the biggest threat, but guess what? They're still the enemy. Well, this is what a lot of people don't understand. Well, that little baby there, yeah, was he on my side? Well, no, then he's the enemy.
Oh, I've had a question for a few people, and I haven't gotten a good answer. So that guy who got drone striked, I've heard from his neighbors and everybody else that he was a USAID worker. I haven't heard anyone really confirm that he was or wasn't. I also haven't heard anyone confirm that he wasn't working with someone who was against the United States. So, do I know one way or the other? No, I actually don't. How often have I heard of people who are saying, "Yeah, we're going to work with the United States," but are also working against the United States? How do I know that we actually just droned someone who's completely innocent? The fact of the matter is, and I know this is unfortunate, a lot of people don't like to hear this, but guess what? This is the unfortunate aspect of war. This person might say that they're your ally. Do you know how war in the Middle East works? Because guess what? This person can say they're your ally all you want. It doesn't mean they are. So can you tell me beyond a shadow of a doubt, would you go into their house and go to sleep and expect them to not chop your head off because you trust them that much? Because they're my ally.
Gentlemen, one moment. We have a 9-minute warning. 9 minutes, then we're ending.
Gotcha. And my point is this. If you can sit there and point and say, look, we did this horrible thing because we had bad intelligence, do you really know what the intelligence was? Do you know that this person was a good guy or a bad guy? Do you know they wouldn't have killed you if you were asleep in their house in the middle of the night? Because to be blunt, I'd rather be asleep in the barracks. I don't trust it. But if you have that much confidence in somebody, you know what? Then fine. That's you. It's your life. But I'm not. As much as I dislike Joe Biden, I think this was kind of maybe a bit hasty. Maybe the intelligence was bad. I'm not in a position to say whether this was wrong or right. And
I'll say this about this, right? I agree with you 100% in that regard, right? Here, but my problem is this. Okay, they claimed before this, they claimed that they hit something, right? What evidence is there? When people said, okay, well, who did you kill? What are the evidence? Where's the evidence that you did a drone strike and attacked these guys? They had none. They made a claim that they didn't even back up. Okay? Well, you got to remember this. Prior to that drone strike that supposedly killed an innocent worker, and children were killed, ladies and gentlemen, and they also claimed that prior to that they'd done a drone strike at a headquarters somewhere. But nobody knew. Nobody knows anything about a strike. No one can point out and say, "Here's the strike." Okay, so in my regard, I think that this could have been a hastily planned thing, but it was hastily planned. It was because they're trying to cover up the fact that they made a claim that didn't exist.
Well, like I said, I'm not privy to enough information to really judge this one way or the other. And the fact that it says, "Hey, we did this," and then some other information comes out after the fact, and it's contradictory. Now I just have questions. I can't say whether what we did was wrong or right because, to be blunt, I don't have enough information to really. Yeah, unlike what CNN or Fox News would say, I don't have enough information to make a affirmative statement one way or the other. To be blunt, don't know, and so the only thing I can really say is it seems hasty. it only reaffirms that our operations in the region are shoddy at best and extremely ill-informed at worst. But I can't make an affirmative statement one way or the other. It could have been completely innocent people. It could have been people who were planning on doing something else even worse. The fact of the matter is, this only continues to reaffirm that the way we have handled ourselves in that region in the past month, well, I'll be generous, in the past 3 months is beyond acceptable. We should have known. There shouldn't even be a question. I should at least have a better than 50-50 chance of saying it. I should at least be able to sit back and say there's a 30% chance we fucked up, but there's a 70% chance we didn't. But that's not the way we're conducting things right now. We're conducting things in such a hasty manner where if somebody told me we were doing things with a 70-30% chance of failure to success, I would look at you and say, nah, you're full of shit. I don't believe you. Yeah, that's just the way it is.
MC, do you have an opinion on this one, mate?
Well, like I said, to me, were these people on our side? Yes or no? If you come back, well, he was an aid worker, MC. Okay, well, does that mean that he was on our side? To me, I'm sorry, I hate to tell you all this, but if you're not actively helping us, right, and the fact that this guy could drive a car through Kandahar through checkpoints run by the Taliban, I have a lot of suspicion, all right, that he wasn't on our side directly. Then he's the enemy, as far as I'm concerned. It's that simple. I
should point out that technically anybody that gives aid to the enemy are the enemy. But I realise that as an aid worker, that can be a very questionable statement. Just
if you want to be on our side, that's one thing. And I understand that you may, if we targeted what we targeted was something that we were wrong about what we were targeting. Because let's be honest, if you want to target somebody, you want to target people who are truly a threat. You don't want to be targeting people running around the water necessarily because they're not the biggest threat. You should have different priorities than that. Okay, so from that standpoint, you can say it was still a mistake. But as far as I'm going to bleed on about, oh, he was just an innocent. No, I'm not, I don't know if he was an innocent. Okay, maybe he was, but he wasn't. If he wasn't on our side, I don't care, and I mean that directly. Then as far as I'm concerned, all bets are off. If you're not actively on our side, then you are actively not. You are the enemy. This is what war is. Understand? People have got to understand this. And do people on your side get hit in a war? It's happened in every war that we've had. If you know the enemy is in an area, right, and you see somebody coming towards you, your first assumption is going to be that that's the enemy. And it has gotten people killed on our side time and time again in every single war. One of the most egregious examples of that, to be honest, right, was during the Civil War when Stonewall Jackson was shot by his own men because he had ridden out in front of them. They didn't know he was there, and he was coming back to his lines through a fog. Okay, and these people see movement to the front. They know the enemy is in that direction. Guess what? You shoot first and question things later.
It's kind of strange that everybody thinks that when you fight a war, everybody's going to be wearing a red coat or a blue coat. Yeah, that's not the way it works.
Right, and when you have. Well, to be honest, we should sit up there and use the standards that they use. As far as I'm concerned, if you're dressed as civilians, you're a spy. Spies are subject to execution without a trial.
Summary execution, correct.
You guys might want to look that up in the Geneva Convention when you talk about how we're violating the Geneva Convention and everything. Because if you're acting as a spy, summary executions are completely authorized. Yeah. Just putting it out there, folks. If you didn't know the reality of things, And there's a lot of people that have made a lot of assumptions about that.
No, MC, what are you talking about? War is a peaceful business. Nobody ever dies in war.
CNN might try and actually say that. That's the problem. But I will be bringing it to a close here. First of all, do we have any final words, Stoker? This means a non-rant, so keep it quick.
Oh, well, no, I've said everything I need to say.
And he's terrified now because the government's coming down on him for gold coin.
MC, do you have any final words you wish to say, mate?
Nope, that's it. I'm good.
Okay, my final words are very simple. Do not, I repeat, do not go into DC on the 18th of this month. No, I don't care that people might have issues with me saying the date. Again, couldn't give a monkey's. But thank you very much, you two, for turning up. Thank you, MC, for popping in. I do hope everyone had fun today, and I'll see you all later. Bye-bye, everybody.
Later, everybody.